Today, we're diving into something called Ponglish. It's this absolutely unique and often hilarious linguistic blend that happens when Polish and English just crash into each other.
So let me throw a phrase at you. Thank you from the mountain. Now, if you only speak English, that probably sounds completely bizarre, right? But it's actually a perfect word-for-word translation of the Polish phrase dziękuję z góry, which just means thank you in advance.
If that little phrase rings a bell, then congratulations, you've already had a taste of Ponglish. So let's get into it and figure out what exactly this is.
All right, first things first, czym jest Ponglish? What is it really? Let's pin down a definition.
Okay, so Ponglish, sometimes spelled Polglish or Ponglish, is what linguists call a macaronic language. That's a fancy way of saying it's a mashup of Polish and English. Think vocabulary, grammar, expressions, all mixed together. It's not some official language with a rulebook. It's more like a living, breathing slang that pops up naturally when people who speak both languages are talking to each other.
So, where did this all come from? Well, you might be surprised to hear that this isn't some new internet trend. No, the roots of Ponglish go way, way back, and they're deeply connected to the story of Polish emigration.
The story really kicks off in the early 20th century with the first big waves of Polish immigrants heading to the U.S. Over time, especially in places like Chicago, this blend started to form, and they even had a name for it, język chicagowski, the Chicagoan language. You even started seeing it pop up in Polish movies and books later on. But the real game changer, that was post-2004, after Poland joined the EU. A whole new wave of Poles moved to the UK and Ireland, and that just poured fuel on the fire, creating the modern Ponglish we see today.
So how does this actually happen? Like, what are the mechanics behind it? It might seem totally random, but there are actually three main ways Ponglish comes to life. Let's break them down.
Yeah, so there are basically three main flavors of Ponglish. First, you've got Polonized English words. Second, you have phrases that are a straight-up mix of both languages. And third, and honestly, this is where it gets really fun, you have literal word-for-word translations of idioms.
Let's start with type 1, Polonized English words. This is probably the most straightforward one. You basically just take an English word, give it a Polish accent, and tweak it so it fits into Polish grammar. It's like giving an English word a Polish makeover.
And you can totally see it in these examples. 2x4 comes from 2x4. Garbage is just garbage. Fighter is fighter. Update is update. And a great modern one from London, oysterka, for an Oyster card. See? The English word is still in there, but it sounds and acts Polish now.
All right, on to type 2. This is all about mixed language phrases. This is what happens when someone's brain is just firing on all cylinders in both languages and they start weaving them together in the same sentence. Linguists call it code switching.
Just look at these. You can see how the sentence structure is fundamentally Polish, but English words just get dropped in wherever they fit, or maybe wherever they're easier to say. So you might hear someone say, umy the balcony, or wypełniam forma na benefits. You're just using the word that comes to you fastest, no matter which language it's from.
Okay, and now for my favorite, type 3, literal idiom translations. This is where Ponglish becomes pure comedy gold. It's when you take a common expression in one language and translate it word for word into the other.
Okay, get this. In Polish, if you want to say, I will confide in you, you say, zwierzę ci się. But the word zwierzę in another context means animal. So translate it literally, and what do you get? I will animal to you. I mean, it's just fantastic. It makes no sense, but at the same time, it kind of does.
Here's another great one. A common Polish slang phrase is nie rób wiocha, which basically means don't cause a scene or don't be embarrassing. But the word wiocha literally means village, so you end up with don't make a village. To an English speaker, that's just nonsense, but to someone who gets both, it's perfectly clear.
And that's really the key, isn't it? A phrase like, it's after the birds, which comes from już po ptaka, meaning the opportunity's gone, well, it's like a secret handshake. It's an inside joke that only works if you're part of the club, if you understand both the language and the culture behind it.
But listen, Ponglish isn't just something you hear on the streets of Chicago or London. It's found in new and pretty surprising home, in the modern corporate world.
Yep, in today's world of open spaces, or open plan offices, a whole new corporate dialect has been born. You don't just go to a meeting, you iść na meeting. You don't send an email, you zrobić a send-out. And you don't set KPIs, you ustalić KPI. It's incredible. It's Ponglish adapting in real time to the global language of business.
So, look, it's easy to laugh at all this. And it is funny. But it's so important to understand that Ponglish isn't just a bunch of mistakes. It's something much deeper. It's a living, breathing phenomenon.
Because at the end of the day, Ponglish isn't about someone failing to speak proper English or proper Polish. It's the exact opposite. It's about someone succeeding at communicating using every single tool they have in their linguistic toolbox to get their point across.
So what's the big takeaway here? Well, Ponglish it's a creative solution. It's a living echo of emigration history. It's a way to build community. And yeah, it's a source of a lot of humor and identity. It's a beautiful, messy, living part of language, just doing what language does best. It evolves.
Really, it's just a perfect testament to how creative and resilient people are. It shows us that language is never just a dry set of rules in a book. It's playful, it's flexible, and it's a deeply human tool we use to connect with each other.
So, that brings me to you. I'd love to know, what is the best, the funniest, or maybe the weirdest example of Ponglish you've ever heard out in the wild? Think about it.